Hello everybody and welcome to another rousing edition of Cover Killer Nation Bastardizes Album Names. Today's is Koi no YOKAN by the Deftones. If I said it wrong, I said it wrong. Sue me. But yes, the new album from the Deftones, their first since Diamond Eyes from a couple of years ago, and there's a lot of excitement surrounding this album. There's a lot of intense excitement anytime a Deftones album is released. They have become a very beloved band in the alternative / metal fields, and for very good reason. There's a lot to really enjoy about the Deftones music ever since they first burst onto the scene in the middle part of the 1990s. Classic albums such as Adrenaline, Around the Fur, White Pony, just to name a couple of examples. Really, their whole entire discography is extremely solid, and Diamond Eyes from a couple years ago was certainly no exception. It's definitely an album that revitalized a lot of people's opinions toward the Deftones, who had been laying dormant for a while. Of course, there was the tragedy that struck one of their members. Well, we're not going to get into that. We talked about that with Diamond Eyes a couple of years ago on a video that I don't think you guys can see anymore. But yeah. With this album right here, the Deftones have certainly impressed me in a couple of different ways that they've impressed me with before. However, I still always feel kind of reinvigorated about this band every single time that I listen to new material from them. They don't necessarily have to do way too much with their sound as far as the differential is concerned in order to really sound very fresh, because they have kind of honed themselves into their maximized potential, and at this point in time they're able to really just use that idea in order to continue to expand their universe slightly and gradually. And that's something that I've always said. I've always said that once you hone in on something, once you hit that musical plateau, so to speak, you really don't have to do anything that's wildly radical in order to really continue on making very solid and very great music. You just have to make small little adjustments or small little changes, small little experimentations in order to really wow listeners. And with this album, they've certainly been able to do that. The very first name that really comes to mind for me on some of these tracks, especially when you reach side 2 of this album, is a strange one. I'm sure some people are probably going to look at me like, you heard that in this? Really? Van Pussifer, yeah. There are some points musically where I really feel like I'm listening to music that Pussifer could use for a very hard-edged song, something that maybe was left off of Conditions of My Parole, either that or something that they've been working on. I know that a lot of people on the Facebook page have been mentioning the new Tool release, wondering whenever that's going to be coming out, but don't sleep on Pussifer's album from last year. But I hear that just in the way in which the construction is concerned, there's definitely a feel to it. There's a little bit of Maynard that seems to seep in here and there, and the two have worked together in the past, so really, is it all that difficult to really conceive that this is something that's kind of been incorporated into the Deftones' classic sound? I hear that a lot on the song Tempest, which I really, really enjoy. That's a song that is definitely a standout, including Leathers, which is a very good track also. Rosemary and Gauze also definitely have just a great overall feel to it. I focus a lot on the second half of this disc because I think that the second half of this effort is just monumental. I think it's really, really good. Now, with that said, though, this is also a tremendously consistent band that once again has delivered us an album that is rich pretty much all around. There's the musical richness that I just described with the slight metaphor, the slight comparison right there, but the vocal richness is something that is also excessively important, especially with a band like the Deftones that have such a recognizable voice in the spot of Chino Moreno. And Chino's vocals are able to range from his trademark highs that almost sound like high, shrill whines that register then low to his near like gurgling, which is an interesting range, one that has always kind of been the outlier in an otherwise a pretty non-noticeable wave pool. Whenever you consider the first part of the 2000s, a lot of the bands in alternative rock were starting to have very similar voices to them, that sort of semi-gruffness to them, but they're also able to dial it back a bit and sing those sappy, sad little ballads that, well, definitely became hits. It was one part of the movement that many of us probably could have done without. However, people ate it up, and they got instant recognition from it. But let's face it, do you see me sitting in here reviewing the newest Puddle of Mud album saying that it's classic? Absolutely not. You are going to hear me say that about the Deftones, mainly because it's always these bands they're able to score like 1 or 2 hits, and then you listen to the remainder of their discography, they consistently leak back onto the radio every so often. They've been around since, forever it feels, and they always consistently seem to find a way to dial into their personal creativity bank and find something that has just been missing from their sound. And in this case, the flow of it has always been there, the construction has always been there, but what really seems to bleed forth on this album are the vocals along with that flow, along with that musicianship. This is a craft that Chino has always done very, very well. However, on this album, it's very resemblant to like a White Pony or an Around the Fur, where it just absolutely is. It's in your face, but it's not in your face in his gruff, like very near screaming fashion that he was able to do earlier on in the Deftones' career. It instead has a little bit of a dial-back process to it. It's got that sort of seductive charm to it. It has that a little bit of a Roxy-Moxy to it. There's almost like a cautious apprehension in these vocals. However, the confidence really bleeds through whenever he enunciates the words, and whenever he rasps out those just, higher register whines or the higher register moans that the Deftones have really trademarked in their existence. So, with that all said, the real thing that's really keeping this album very, very high up for a lot of people, and I definitely would have to agree with them, is the fact that Chino just sounds so good. And really has sounded very refreshed over this album and Diamond Eyes. I feel like at the end of their run there, initially with an album like Saturday Night Wrist, that he really kind of tired a little bit. The whole entire band probably tired a little bit. And thusly it made a very curious album that, it had its appeal, but at the same time, people were longing for a little bit more. Now with these past 2 albums, it's almost like a full circle revitalization effort, and Chino sounds fresh. He sounds like he has all of his wind, not to mention there definitely is a bleeding passion on this disc that you are definitely happy to hear. You're happy to witness. It's something that you feel was maybe, it was there on Diamond Eyes, but perhaps not throughout the whole entire endeavor, maybe just stopping just short of being a complete effort. This album feels like a complete effort. Now, no effort is without some songs that are a little weaker than the others. I, of course, mentioned a few that I liked more than the others. You may have some differing opinions. However, once again, I have to go to the resounding strength of the second half. The second half of this disc is just a really, really awesome ride. It really tugs on you a little bit. It really hones in your focus, and it kind of dials you in a little bit. You become very, very, self-involved with this portion of the record. It's something where everything kind of slows down a little bit. It's not necessarily all going to be a straightforward, a very bold journey. Instead, it kind of narrows the perception line a little bit, and you become very, very focused on a centralized point. And whenever that happens, man, do these guys shine, and man, does this album shine. Got to give this album a strong 8.5 to an 8.75 out of 10. I've been listening to it really consistently over the past couple of days, and I can't really tear myself away from it, and I definitely have to, because there's a lot of work I need to do. But at the same time, that is the mark of an album that certainly has showcased its strength and showcased its importance and showcased why people are already talking about this, see? Showcase why this album has a really good potential for being the alternative album of the year. I mean, it's almost hands down right there in contention. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that this album definitely compares to Diamond Eyes or Deftones greats from the past? Or is this one that either stands on its own, or is this one that you didn't really enjoy that much? Talk to me in the comments. Let's find out what you feel about this album.